In this lesson, we'll create some pillows that we can add to the chairs and the couch. Alright, so let's create a few little pillows that we can add around our little room here. So to begin with, I'm going to go ahead and just create a box. So go to Create, Standard Primitives, and let's drag a box out. And pull that up. And let's go to the Modify panel. And I'll just zoom to this, and we can see what this looks like. And I'm going to add a few segments here. So maybe 3 by 3 by 3, something like that. And I want it to be pretty deep, right? So pretty high. So I can change the height here. I want it to be something like that. Okay. So the next thing that I want to do is actually come in and squeeze down the edges of this. So it's going to be kind of this square kind of pillow. So what I can do is go ahead and convert this to an editable poly. And now I'm just going to select all of these points. Okay, so basically all the points except the ones in the middle. And then I can start to kind of bring this down. Something kind of like that. Okay, it didn't look very good, so let's go ahead and smooth this. We'll add just a turbo smooth to that. Okay, now you can see that this is pretty round. I actually think that's fine. If you wanted to have kind of a sharper edge, you can go in and actually add those here. So to do that, you can simply go ahead and add another edit poly on top of this. And then we'll take these vertices, if you want to add kind of a sharper edge, and just kind of pull these out. Same thing over here and over here. Okay, just kind of pull those across there. You get kind of a sharper edge there. Okay, if this is a little bit too deep, you can always come in and scale that down a little bit. All right, let's take a look at the seam that we want to create here. Okay, so we'll go ahead and select this edge, this middle edge, or actually we've got already, I think we've got, let's see how many we've got here. So there we've got 1, 2 on this side and 1, 2 on that side. So we've got this edge running right along the center. So we'll go ahead and select that loop. And let's go ahead and just chamfer that. Give it kind of a smaller amount there. Something like that. Go ahead and convert that to a polygon selection. And let's go ahead and extrude this in. So along the normal, go ahead and extrude that in, apply that, and then extrude it back out again, just extending out there. Okay. And now if we want to smooth this again, if we'd like to do that, if this is a little bit too, not quite smooth enough for us, if we want to add another smooth, you can go ahead and do that. You can see how that again softens up the corners. So what we might want to do is come in along these edges, select that ring, and just sharpen up those edges, just using the same techniques we've used before, just kind of sliding those edges along there. Okay, same thing over here. Go ahead and select that ring, or connect, and pull that edge down there a little bit. Then again, we'll repeat that process here. And one more time over on this side. Go ahead and run that. And there, when we now have that smooth on there, you should get kind of a nicer corner. All right. Now, if we want to shape this a little bit more, we can add an FFD box on top of this. So we get something like that. Okay, so now we can come in with our control points and really tweak the shape of this. If we want to maybe bring this in a little bit. Okay, and so let's take this and actually start to kind of put it into position here. So we've got one pillow. Let's go ahead and maybe drop this into one of these chairs. Okay, we can see that it's way too big right now, so we'll go ahead and scale this down, maybe rotate it up. We've still got the FFD, the freeform deformation on there. And we can kind of rotate this around. And so at this point, we can come in and we'll go ahead and slide this back and have it kind of sitting down on the chair, you can see we're getting a lot of penetration. So to make this a little more realistic, we'll grab some of these control points and we'll start to kind of move these in. Okay, we can go ahead and grab some of these, rotate those, maybe pull these back. And so this is kind of up against the side of the chair, and maybe this sags into the chair a little bit in the middle. Okay, and then on the bottom, we want this to be kind of up against the chair itself. So maybe we want to come in and kind of rotate this up. Maybe this part's a little bit higher. Okay, so you can really come in and now make it really look like it belongs there, like it's an actual pillow that's up against that chair. Okay, so you can kind of see what that looks like, and you get, you know, something like that. You can also come in and do your deformation on this as well if you want to. On your edit poly, you can come in and add, you know, any kind of deformation that you want to. Go ahead and set your values the way that you want them. And our brush strength, kind of a low brush strength. And you can come in and kind of just sculpt on this a little bit. All right. So it's really up to you, but the nice thing is that you can now select this and move this around. Okay, so if you want to maybe now put this on the couch, maybe put a pillow on the couch, you can go ahead and just move this over to the couch and turn it around, and then you can use your lattice that's still attached here to shape it any way that you want. Right, so maybe it's not going to match up from what we did with the chair. It's not going to match up perfectly here with the couch. So we again go into our control points, start to grab some of these, and you know, and tweak that shape a little bit. You can grab, you know, really go to town with this because it's a pillow. It's going to be deformed. It's not going to be shaped perfectly. Okay, so then we can come in and again, you know, duplicate that along and maybe put a couple over here. And I just lost my pillow there, off into Never Never Land. Okay. And my undos. Anyway, go ahead and undo. There we go. And so maybe you need to shape this a little bit more. Maybe it needs to be a little bit smaller for the couch. Maybe these are a little bit smaller pillows. Maybe they're not the same kind. So, but that's just a quick way of doing that. You can duplicate these across, you know, keep that deformer with it, and then you can really tweak the shape of that. All right, so in the next lesson, what we're going to do is work on a kind of a piece for the wall that'll have some shelves, and we're going to show off kind of some of the power of using splines and combining splines together to create some neat effects. So let's go ahead and go into an orthographic view here. And let's just look at the front view, let's say. And we'll go ahead and build it out here, just so everything's nice and clear. And so what I want to do is build, starting with some splines. We'll go to Shape, Splines, and I'll just create some circles to begin with. Okay, so I'll just create kind of a circle here, and maybe a smaller one down here. And at this point, if I'm going to be using circles, I can actually go ahead and just duplicate these. So let's say I want this one to be over here. Okay, I'll grab this, go ahead and duplicate this over, and maybe this one is a little bit lower, like that. And we'll go ahead and duplicate this over. Okay, maybe this one's a bit bigger. Okay, but still a little bit lower than that initial one. And just create kind of an interesting shape. You don't have to mimic the one that I'm creating. You can do something similar. And I'm just going to create 5 of these. And we'll go ahead and scale this one down. And it's just so something along these lines. All right. I also want to create kind of some accent circles up here. So I'm going to go ahead and just Shift, click that up there. we'll go ahead and create something like that, and then do the same thing over here. And we'll scale this one down. Okay, and this one, let's go ahead and pull one down here and just create kind of an interesting little design here. Okay, now all these are on the same plane because we're drawing them from the front view. Okay, but right now they're all separated. So one of the things that we want to do is actually combine these all together. Okay, so to do that, you can see right now it's just a circle. I'm going to convert this to an editable spline, and then let's attach. Okay, so we want to go to geometry, kind of at the top of the geometry rollout, attach, and then we'll go through and just attach all of these different circles. And that's just going to include all of these in one spline. Okay, so now if we click on this, you can see that we've got the spline. We can select the splines individually. You can see by going in here, but we still have them all as one spline. All right, so the next thing that we want to do is to actually create the interior spaces for this. So we want there to be some kind of shelves on the inside here. And some of these shelves we want to be kind of rectangular. Maybe some of these we want to be kind of more circular. Okay, so for this, what I'm going to do is create kind of the initial shape. So this little check bar here that says Start New Shape, I want to turn that off so that anything I now create is going to be part of this shape. Okay, so if I go in and let's say I create a rectangle, and let's create one right in here. Okay, and I'll play with the corner radius, give it kind of a soft radius there. And now you'll see this is part of the same shape. If I go in now and select the spline, I can move that around and scale this, but it's part of that same shape. Okay, let's say I want to duplicate this, so I'll go ahead and duplicate one down here and another one down here. So I'll kind of pull these apart and just get something like that. And let's actually make these a bit closer. Okay, and now I'll select all of these, and I just want to scale those a little bit and move them down. And so we'll think of these as the interior shelves. Okay, and that one's a bit close, so I'm gonna give these a little bit more space here. So something like that and something like that. Okay, if you want to, you can come in, make these a bit wider, pull these out. Okay, so just think of those as the interior shelves. Now, I want to go ahead and take this spline and repeat that over here on this guy. Okay, so I'll go ahead and pull this down. This one, maybe I want to be a little bit smaller, and maybe you only want 2 in here. So go ahead and add that. All right, now for these guys, I'm going to go ahead and add a circle. So another circle inside here. Okay, and this one, I started a new shape, so it's its own shape. And I want to now add a square because I want to cut off the bottom of this. Okay, so I'm going to turn off this Start New Shape, go to Rectangle, and let's just add a rectangle across there. All right, so now if we take a look at this, this spline has the circle and the rectangle. So I'm going to go ahead and just move this rectangle down a little bit. And now if I take this spline for this circle, and under Geometry, I'm going to go all the way down to Boolean, and I want to subtract. Okay, so I'll click the little subtract, hit Boolean, and then I'm going to select this this rectangle, and that's going to cut the bottom off of that circle there. Okay, so now I can take this, duplicate this across. Okay, I'll put this inside of this circle. It can be offset a little bit. That'd be kind of cool too. Okay, you can maybe scale it up a little bit. And I'll take this one again and move it over. Just making a clone of that. And now on this one, I'll kind of scale this down a little bit. All right, so now we want to go ahead and attach these to the original. So we'll go ahead with our spline selected, go to Attach, and we'll attach all of these splines. So now we just got kind of a big network of splines here. Now for these overlapping ones right in here, what we want to do is again do a Boolean, and this time we will do it a little bit differently. So go ahead and select maybe this spline here. Well, let's select this one over here. Okay, and we're now going to go down to Boolean. This time we're going to go to Union and choose Boolean. And now we're going to come along and select the outer rings here. So these overlapping rings that we initially drew, we're going to go ahead and just select all those. And that's going to create this kind of outline that we have here. Go ahead and turn that off. And so now what we're left with is this spline that has this outline, and then these inner pieces right in here. So now how do we create geometry from this? We've got a nice little spline network going on, but how do we actually add geometry to that? Well, there are several ways. We could just do an extrude. We can convert it to a poly, but we're going to go ahead and just add a bevel modifier to this. So we'll go ahead with this spline selected, add a bevel. Okay, and you can see that we've got geometry going on here. All right. So what I want to do is, now we've got the start outline, which is the the width of that. Let me turn on edge faces here. We've got also the height. Okay, so we can add the height. You can see how that's actually creating thickness there. Going back. Okay, and if we take a look at this side, now we can see the outline. How that's kind of creating that outline there. We've got the level 2 bevel that we're able to choose now. You can see that. See, that brings out another level over on this side. The height and the outline. So if we bring that outline down, you can see that there you can start to get that bevel going on. Okay. Let's go ahead and set this down to 0. And we'll set this height down a little bit. And we'll set our outline here to 0. Okay. So we can start to get a little bit more here. There's level 1. And change that outline. We want it to come in kind of on this side. So you can see how we can now create this bevel here. And if the height is too much, you can bring that up. Take down that outline. But it's nice to be able to actually add the edge detail here, so it's not completely sharp. And then once we have that, I'm going to go ahead and just center the pivot, and we can go ahead and slap this onto the wall. So I'm going to go ahead and just drop this onto the wall here. We may need to do a little bit of scaling, depending on how big it ends up being. And we'll just kind of put this on the wall, kind of right over here. Maybe we want to scale this up just a little bit. Create kind of an interesting wall piece there, and you can make it a little bit thicker if you want to. These are shelves after all, so you might want to go ahead and increase the width of that, just depending on what you need. Okay. All right. So you can play around with the settings there until you get something that you like. But that's how you can really quickly use splines. You saw how easily it was for us to go in and add those together and Boolean those splines together, which is really cool to create some interesting kind of flat geometry effects here. All right, so next what we would like to do, I think, is come in and start to add some plants over here. So we'll look at how we can create some kind of real quick pots over here and actually add some plants very quickly over by the stairs. So we'll go ahead and do that in the next lesson.